Maybe I should wear pants? No. Pants optional, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and start a new game. There's the tutorial kind of thing. There's a quick start as well that will make some suggestions for you. There's the multiplayer, yada, yada, yada. We're going to do a new game. We're going to set something up. Now, a few things. We will look at the custom race stuff. I will end up playing for this as the humans, I would say. Because that's going to be sort of the most, normal experience, I would say. The best sort of baseline example. So that we got an idea of what, like, yeah, the baseline experience of the game will be. Because everyone else is sort of, like, weird, right, in some way. Like, you've got the Your Singularity, who are robots. They're synthetic. They don't grow on their own. Like, you know, in most of these games, right, you settle on a planet, or you build a city, or you do whatever, and your population eventually grows over time. The Your don't do that. You have to build your population. There's a project you build on a planet. It's called, I think, Assembly, where you, like, build an extra 2 billion population, or whatever the number is, 2 units of population. So there's some weird stuff in a few different ones, but there's quite a few different built-in races that you can play with. And yes, we can create a custom race over here as well. So if you create a custom race, you can customize how your race looks. Choose your picture. So we can grab, I don't know, fat bugs like that. That's pretty good. Now, I don't know, like, how much of that matters. So these are the ones that are animated, and they've just got the static pictures. There is a folder that you can also go and, I believe, dump your own races in here, if you want. Change your background around. Change your leader portrait as well. Which one? Ooh, I like this one. Some sort of, like, pirate hamster thing. Huh. Which one actually looks like the race we've got, though? Oh, right there. Boom. There we go. So, you know, you can do that. And again, yeah, you can put in your own custom portraits there if you want for some reason. Race overview. Who's your race? You can name it. Full name, the short name, the ship call sign, right? So, you know, the SS, the USS, whatever, if you want to go that way. Your logo, etc., etc. The star system is interesting. You can actually rename your starting star system as far as I can tell. But you can choose it from a list here because there's everyone's home system in the game is locked to like a particular category. For example, if you play Terran, your home system starts in Sol. Your star is called Sol. Your planet is called Earth, and there's also another colonizable planet in your star system called Mars. It's not very customizable, but it's technically there. So you pick one of those. As far as I'm aware, everything is very moddable in this game, but it doesn't seem like you can just like tune one of these things. So you can pick one of these existing ones, for example. So it means, as far as I can tell, you can't really rename this. Although maybe in the game you can rename the planets. I don't know if you can rename the suns. We'll have to take a look at that, actually. So yeah, so we've got that. And each one of those, it's not just cosmetic, the name. Like Sol starts with your homeworld as a class 11, you've got a class 5 world. If you got Drengia over here, same thing. Alteris, it's a class 10, but a class 6. Some of these just have one system, like Icos here, a single star system, or single habitable planet in your starting star system. Hey, Reska, thanks for the sub. But it's a size 16 world, or class 16 world. The better the class, the more improvable terrain you can have, for example. So we've got a few of those that you can tune. Let's say we take a... Whoa, that's an interesting graphical glitch. There we go. Again, this is the pre-release version, so there might be some things. Then you've got these ability trait points that you can spend. You've got 5 of those, and you've got 5 of these ability points over here. So these trade points, for example, you can be... so you've got cleverness here, right? Which gives us bonus research. So you can have the level 1 cleverness here, costs 1 point, gives us 10% more research, or we can go to the level 2, 2 points, 20% more research. Or we can take a penalty. Foolish. We actually research 10% slower, and we get some bonus points to spend. Now, I don't know if you'd ever want to take a tech hit. That would seem pretty poor. I mean, let's be honest there. In 4X games, technology rules, so that would be a pretty poor choice to do. So we got that. So there's a bunch of different traits in here. A lot of them cover what you'd expect. You know, manufacturing. Influence is worth talking about. One of the highlights... Oh, I realized I've got to adjust my scene a little bit here. One of the... Not the highlights. One of the most iconic things in Galciv is the way that influence and culture works, where you can really expand your borders very dramatically via influence, to the point where you can actually convert planets over to your cause, over to your nation. They will defect from wherever they came from, join your empire instead, and you can win purely through influence, basically by, you know, spreading your movies and your McDonald's and whatever to other planets, and just having them be like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna join this team and do that. And it's actually one of the most satisfying victory conditions in Galciv in my experience. At least Galciv 1 and 2. Again, I haven't put much time into Galciv 3 yet. Maybe the other ones are even more fun, but there's just something really special about that kind of victory that I really, really love. I'll put the music up a tiny bit more again. Some people are requesting it, so we will go ahead and do that. Sounds like we just got a donation from This White Owl. Eat, drink, and be awesome. Well, I will certainly endeavor as much as possible. So you got a few of those that, you know, again, some are more or less obvious. You can check the tooltips for all these. There's a few over here where you can't take a disadvantage. I'm quite keen on fast. I really like faster moving ships. And luckily the humans, the Terrans we're going to play, are going to have fast, which is going to be spiffy cool. And then we've got some extra special abilities we can take. We can take 2 of them. So, for example, if you take colonizers, when you make a new colony, you'll get your first improvement will be free, which is great. Unwavering, your colonies are harder to culture flip. Okay, maybe that's important, maybe not. Planets start with double the initial population based on how many you put in your colony ship. That's actually really, really, really strong. I'm pretty convinced that's a really good pick. Engineers, yeah, all right, that's fine. Ancient, get some extra research from precursor artifacts. Pretty cool. Level 39 Nerd, thank you very much for the sub. And so on. We're not going to go through all of those, but there's a lot of ability to customize your civilizations. And that's, that used to be one of my complaints with the actual Civilization game, as opposed to something like Master of Orion, right? I used to say, like, Civilization is cool and all, but it doesn't have the same replay value as something like Master of Orion because of 2 reasons, actually. And the first reason is the ability to customize your civilization to get something very different all the time. Now, Civ 5, I think there's a lot more variety in the different starting colony, nations and leaders, so it's a little bit less of a thing. But the other reason is because in a game like Civilization, for example, the tech tree, you're always going to finish the tech tree, right? The tech tree is sort of static because it's replicating actual history. But what's nice about space-based 4X games, they don't have to be like that. A lot of them still end up doing something very similar, but what Galciv does, just very much like how Master of Orion used to do, the tree is sort of so extensive that you kind of have to kind of pick and choose which parts of it you go through, and you probably won't get all the technologies by the end of the game. And in fact, many of the technological levels require you choose a specialization, and you'll have to take option A, B, or C. You can't take all of them. So that's quite interesting to do that. Luckily, there is espionage and diplomacy and maybe some other ways to get some technologies from the other civilizations in the game. So it does help to fill in some of those gaps. Anyway, so we've got that going on. Choose your appearance of your ships. So this has like a really involved ship editor in the game. Basically like playing with like Lego bricks, basically. You can make your own spaceships. But in here, you can choose sort of baseline things like the basic coloring of some of this. Actually, that's the UI. So I meant down here, right? So change some basic colorings for your ships that you might be interested in. And then the basic style, which denotes the cosmetic bits that you can use. Look at this Altarian one. Look how like organic this stuff is. How cool is that? I think the answer is very. The iridiums. All right, very pointy and star-like. The Kryn. Just seems very functional. Actually, I don't know, I like it for some reason. The Yor, straight lines, sharp edges. Iconian, ooh, very cool. Problem is, I play, normally when I play, I'm very zoomed out, so I never actually see these ships close up. Alright, we'll look at the other 2. Thalon. Again, kind of organic-y. Ooh, built on a big sphere. I wonder if they're all like that. And then pirate ships, which you will run into randomly. Oh. Do they not have their own style? Maybe not. They might just borrow from everyone else. I have no idea. And then personality. You can describe your race. First of all, what tech tree you use. So every civilization actually has its own customized tech tree, which is one of the other reasons I'm going to be playing as Terran. Because it has, I think, the most sort of understandable tech tree. The baseline, maybe, by which you would compare some of the others. Now, the Terrans definitely do things that are unique versus everyone else, but they don't have, like, really weird tech names, like some of the Yor things does and whatever. Hey, Klindos, thanks for the sub, or the resub, I should say. So yeah, we've got a few different options there. And what ideology do you primarily follow? This customizes the way the race behaves when it's controlled by the AI. So that's the thing, right? Normally in these types of games, you're just making a race for this one game playthrough, right? But here you actually save them. So let's say we've made some sort of race. I don't know. Let's pick some random stuff, spend some points, right? And then we spent those points there. Good. Some appearance over there. And we'll say that this race here, they are greedy expansionists, and they tend to be pragmatic, and they prioritize expansion slightly above military, right? So we'll save that race, and there we go. Now this race is just part of the game. So you can play against this race, which is currently called new race name. There's a button to copy, make duplicates. You can start from an existing one and copy from there, or one of your custom ones, and we can go ahead and delete our custom race after. You can't delete one of the built-in races. So there you go. So the I think the character creation, pretty good. So yeah, it's not so much that the Terran Alliance is generic so much as we can relate to it because we're human, right? They're like they use phrases and concepts of the technology that we can relate to because we are human. We are not, super spiritual. We are not slavers. We are not robots. We are not four-eyed ultra traders. We are not whatever the hell these things are. These are neat. I'm trying to think of what they look like. They do have eyes up there. I didn't think they had any. Kind of remind me a little bit of like Faceless Void from Dota, or you know what they remind me of? The Silence. I mean, what were we talking about? I don't remember. Anyway, so I'm just going to use the Terran Alliance for this particular video. Hopefully we'll be able to look at more of the races as we go forward. So the Terran Alliance over here, they start with engineers. So shipyard production decays at half the normal rate. So I have to be honest, I'm not 100% sure exactly what this means. I'm pretty sure. There's a manual that came with my press copy, but it's very generic, like, here are the buttons, as opposed to how a lot of the mechanics work. So we'll have to wait until people have maybe played a little bit more and for the wikis maybe to develop before we really understand the nitty-gritty here. But we'll talk about how the shipyards work when we get in. They do have the colonizers ability, so when they colonize somewhere else, their first colony is free, or the first building is free. Very good. They get bonus to production. They have longer ship range, which is nice. They're also slightly more likable, so the other AIs are more likely to like you. Their ships are fast, which I love really, really a lot. And organized, bonus to logistics, which is how many ships you can have in a fleet, which is very important. So we're just going to choose these to start off with. Galaxy size. They definitely recommend for your first game, start small, so that, you can sort of, experience things a little bit better. And it goes all the way to insane size. Now, I know people are going to want insane. We only have so much time in this stream. If we go insane, we might not even run into anyone else. I'll go medium. And I like how, medium is, way down here. Even huge. Huge is the middle of the row. It just keeps going bigger and bigger and, ridiculous. We'll go medium. Get to choose your general shape. I don't know. We'll go tight clusters. Galaxy options. How often do we have stars? How often do we have planets around those stars? Those planets, how often are they habitable? How often do we get extreme planets? Extreme planets! Which means you need special technology to be able to colonize them, etc., etc., etc. So many abilities to customize this stuff. There's also this load map. I don't know if you can save your settings. Not sure. What victory conditions do you want to have enabled? Conquest, influence, research, ascension, alliance, or just the turn limit, and eventually you can run out of time. Influence is one I talked about earlier, where you just sort of build McDonald's everywhere. Which is pretty cool. Conquest, blow everyone up. So research, there's an ultimate tech at the end that you can reach, apparently, which is different from Ascension. Ascension's quite cool. There's these Ascension crystals throughout the galaxy. This is a victory condition that's been around, I think, since the original Galciv. I'm pretty sure it was in Galciv 1. Clearly, I know for sure it was in Galciv 2, but I think it was in the first one as well, which I think I played Galciv 1 more than 2. I'm not sure. But there's these crystals, and you can sort of build star bases near the crystals and learn how to ascend to a higher plane. So that's, I don't know, the hippie victory condition. Alliance, use diplomacy to bring the peace to the galaxy. Cool. I like that that's an option. And then, yeah, the turn limit. The diplomacy in this game is interesting. I like the mechanics of it. I know that in the beta so far, it's possible that some of the AI and some of the mechanics in there still need to be adjusted. Again, I'm playing a pre-release version, so we'll see how it is at release. But, hey, Insanity, thanks for the sub. But I like the mechanics of it. I always have. More game settings. Difficulty. I like beginner. We're going to go with beginner. How does that sound? I like how you can go random. Random difficulty. Really? Random difficulty? No. I'm going to set it on beginner because, yeah, reasons. And you can tweak some more things, research rate, how many pirates there are. Oh, minor races. Yeah, I want minor races. I really like them. We're going to go with occasional. You can disable tech trading if you're not into that. And your opponents, you can choose them if you want. Oh, to automatically set these? Do I have to? Can I put in random? Available, selected. Can I just say I want X number of opponents and then be that many? I don't know. Let's go ahead and throw a couple more in. Okay. Greek Austrian. Hey, thank you. My pizza just arrived. Thought you might like one too. Oh, thank you very much. Pizza would be so good right now. Only problem is with pizza is it makes me thirsty, and that would be bad for the thing. All right, so we're going to go with this setup. Ah, Ilona says there's no random yet. Okay. I mean, you can just roll a die. There was what? An 8-sided die? You'd be able to pick from that? That'd be pretty good. And of course, later on, when you add more custom races, you can just pile them in. So in one moment, I'm going to open my soda. Refreshing. So I believe there will be some, giveaways here from Stardock itself. I think they're in the chat. I haven't been paying too much attention. Hopefully they are coordinating with Essentiamodica. Essentiamodica is the head mod here and tends to coordinate the giveaways. So I mean, I don't know who will run the giveaway itself, but we can organize it that way. Okay, explorers in a hostile universe. Despite being the youngest race in the galaxy, the Terrans are perhaps the most dangerous. Notably, it was their invention of the hyperdrive and decision to spread it to their neighbors, which honestly was a mistake. I mean, come on. You're not going to keep that crap for yourself? Which led to the current arms race the galaxy finds itself in. Although Terrans present themselves as a peaceful and diplomatic people, when they are drawn into warfare, they possess an intuitive flair for violence and extreme willingness to exercise it. Although Terrans find nothing strange about this dichotomy, many of their galactic peers regard it as alarming and even duplicitous. Strength and weaknesses. Terrans are naturally adventurous, with fast, long-ranging ships. Their production capacity and diplomatic abilities are well regarded. Their ability to field large fleets is regarded with a bit more wariness. Boom. So here we go. If I zoom out, we can get our galactic map, and left mouse button pans around. It's interesting, like, it's a hex-based game, and the whole galaxy, or at least the galactic cluster that we're playing in, is also a giant hex over here. We know we've got 5 opponents on this map, so it's actually going to be relatively crowded early on. I did set it to be tight clusters, so we can sort of see we've got a cluster here, or maybe it's a pair of clusters here and there, another one over there, and another one over there. So I think our priority will probably be to try to colonize into this group over here. Hopefully we can find some more planets to settle. I think the map looks great, by the way. I love the nebula effect in the background. Very, very cool. It gets better as you, like, you know, open up more of the fog of war, obviously. You'll also notice that on the map, it changes the view mode. In here, we've got our full 3D models. And as we pan out, it will change to a symbolic set of icons. And this is actually my preferred way to play it. I think it's so much clearer. I love watching these icons. I realize it's not terribly pretty. It's not terribly pretty, and I'm so sorry about that. But I like playing here. Especially with the planets, especially when I'm looking for someone to colonize, because the quality of the planets is identified by these symbols very, very clearly. So we can see here, we've got the sun. All right, that's pretty good. Mercury over here, Earth. It's pretty sweet Earth. It's even got a little moon going around it. How awesome is that? Ah, just looks lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And, you know, the light of the sun actually affects the planets, which is cool. The ships are just set on full glow, so they're quite clear. Wouldn't really make sense for the shadows. I mean, the scales are all off there for the ships, obviously. Okay, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn. Yeah, you know, I mean, scale, yeah. No Pluto. Pluto's not a planet. And the moon is tidally locked. It is too, isn't it? That's great stuff. Okay, so enough of that. UI, very nice, clean UI, like it. Very similar to a lot of to their previous titles, which is fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, and it does do the nice thing that so many like good 4X games do, where your end turn button is actually a prompt as to what to do next. Like, hey, why don't you set research? So we're gonna set research over here. Excellent. So there are 4 areas of research: colonization, engineering, warfare, and governance. And then it shows you the available technologies currently. You can, if you would like, access the tech tree as well. Now it's still divided up by categories over here. So the trees basically do what they say on the tin. I mean, colonization makes sense. They're going to be like more buildings and improvements and things like that you can put on a planet. Good. Warfare, guns, all right. Governance is a bit weird. Some of it is more trade, more money making. Some of it is more diplomatic stuff, like the Universal Translator, which is a very good one to get early. The fuzzy one. Thank you very much for the resub. And yes, Pluto is a planet again. It's a different planet class. I mean, it would never stop being a planet exactly. It was renamed to a dwarf planet. Anyway, engineering is a little fuzzier, but it's mostly like more ship things, right? Like interstellar travel. Well, better drives. Go faster. We look for things that make us go. You'll notice that the tech tree is divided into 3 technological ages: the age of expansion, the age of war, and the age of ascension. And that's always been one of the interesting parts of Galactic, I gotta say. Whereas other 4X kind of empire building games, they tend to involve like an early war is really important. Like you have to like build up a first army and win one like fight really early on so you can sort of snowball and keep winning. Well, Galactic has taken the very interesting approach of the idea that, listen, we've only just figured out how to put ships into space. You think we're loading them up with like guns and shields and all that stuff now? No. Do you think we know how to like load 1 million soldiers onto a transport to go invade another planet? Oh, hells no. So the early game in Galactic is almost completely peaceful. Actually, the worst thing in Galactic 3 is the pirates. That's the worst thing you got to worry about early on, is like they'll sort of get in your way. And they're kind of dangerous because you don't have that gun tech, right? So if you look at the warfare tech tree over here, we have to go to right over here, planetary invasion. We need this technology before we can actually invade a planet to start off with. I mean, before then, you know, we could put some guns on ships and we can blow up other ships. We could destroy some of the star bases and basically make a nuisance out of ourselves, right? And try to hamper someone else economically, for example. But you can't actually take any territory until you get this tech, which is great. Midnight Elucidator, thank you very much for the sub. So I'm going to start off with, this is going to be a relatively compact neighborhood. I'm going to take a very standard advice of starting with the Universal Translator. Actually, I should almost not. Until you get a Universal Translator, you can't talk to anyone. Their words just come out like gibberish, which is kind of cool. But no, we're a diplomatic race. We're going to do that. Okay, then we're prompted that we have an idle colony. Good, let's click on that. So here's our colony screen. On the colony, there are a number of slots. Each one of these hexes is a place where you can build an improvement. Now, this is not just sort of a cosmetic, sort of, push more buttons kind of thing. Let me move my my noggin out of the way. Maybe over here. It's useful because buildings tend to have bonuses to adjacent buildings. For example, if we look at the research lab, so our planet by itself generates some research. Right now, we're doing 8.3 flasks per turn, right? Beakers is usually what people call these. We're doing 8.3 flasks per turn. We've got a raw research of 6.7, and we've got a 25% bonus to our research rate because of reasons. I don't know where the 25% is coming from right now. I don't know, it's a racial thing? Could be the happiness? We are very happy, aren't we? No, we're only 50%. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're doing that. So we can build a research lab, which the research lab by itself will give us a further 25% boost to our research. Awesome. But you'll notice right at the very bottom, it says +1 level to research, which means that if we go, so let's say I put a research lab down right here. Okay, so it's going to do that. Now I'm going to put another research lab down over here. Oops, I got to double click. See this? They will give each other a +1 bonus. And then if I put another one down here, they're each going to give each other a +2 bonus. Like, it keeps building up and building up and building up. So you tend to want to cluster things, and you're also very incentivized to specialize your colonies, because depending on the shape of the workable terrain, you can get a lot of bonuses. Your colony capital by itself gives you a +1 to anything that happens to be adjacent to it. Some of the tiles also have a little bit of simple. So this one here has precious metals, which would give us +2 to the level of wealth, any wealth improvement built here, or +1 to the level of any research improvements built here. And that will, of course, stack with the colony capital itself. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a research lab there, which should get a lot of bonuses. This is 1, but it should have another one from the base as well. I'm surprised it doesn't actually tell us 2 here. Well, we'll put that one down. And I'm going to rush by it as well. You start with 5,000 billion credits, 5,000 BCs. So it'll cost us 450 to get this going. I think, getting the tech up and running as quick as possible is a good idea. We also got this place here. We've got a snuggler colony. Snugglers is what they skin to make snuggies, right? Those or slankets. Anyway, so this tile by itself gives us a 5% bonus to influence growth, and anything adjacent to it that gives influence be 2 levels higher. That's pretty good. We've got some mineral rich over here, so +1 to research, +1 to research here. That's pretty good. Probably a little bit more tech early on makes sense. We'll go ahead and build that research lab there, especially since it's got the bonus. And then I'd be very tempted to get a set of factories going on. So these are all being queued up, right? I've got my queue here. The first one's going to be rushed. The next one will take 8 turns per. Groovy. Excellent. And then I'll come back and I'll fill in these gaps a little bit later. Plus, we'll unlock some different stuff. So that's pretty good. What else we've got? We've got idle ships. So we've actually got 3 ships. Can I cycle between them? Yeah, we've got... Oh, and then a shipyard. We got 3 ships currently. We've got a colony ship, our survey ship, and a scout. So the scout should make a lot of sense. It is small, light, should be relatively fast. I got like nowhere to put my face cam. That's not going to get in the way. There. Let's make it smaller. Let's do something like that. Is that going to work with like all the screens? No, sometimes I just float. Boo. So somewhere like that. It probably won't cover too much. Anyway, I apologize in advance. If this wasn't live streamed, I wouldn't be running the face cam. And they've got the relatively good sensors. What's nice about them as well is you can go to command and tell them to auto-explore, which we will probably end up doing. The survey ship is very similar to a scout, except it's quite a bit bigger. It actually starts with a few guns as well, but it can survey anomalies. So let's see if we can find an anomaly. I'm going to send my colony ship down this way. I'm going to send my scout out this way. Okay, we haven't found an anomaly yet, but I'll send the survey ship out sort of like that, and then they'll start to spread out relatively soon. And then we'll find one we can talk about what that does. And then finally we got the shipyard idle. What's interesting here, hey Povaha, thank you very much for the sub, is that you don't build spaceships on your planets, unlike most of these spacey 4X kind of games. Instead you build them in shipyards. So you can build the shipyard from the planet right over here, and then it'll put it in space nearby. And then the shipyard itself does receive manufacturing from a planet. We can actually see a little bit of a line here that represents it, or if I double click here, I can check the sponsors. And I can see that Earth is currently sending me production. It's currently sending me 3.8. I think it can send a total of 7.7, but we'll see on the government screen how some of this stuff gets allocated. So what are we going to build in the Seoul shipyard? Well, honestly, I would really like to get another colony up and running as soon as possible, to the extent where I'm actually going to go and buy this. Even if we don't find another good planet to settle on, we can always settle on Mars. Mars is not great, but eventually we'll want to grab it. Medacto, thanks for the sub. I'd be very tempted after this to actually just build a scout, and then we might build another colony ship or even a constructor. Constructor lets us build star bases, which are awesome in this game. I've never seen anything like star bases in any other game. You build them in some tile in space, and they do something. They have a radius of effect, and depending on what modules you put on Starbase, they do different things. Like they can mine some of the unique resources we find in space. They can give production bonuses to your planets. They can give defensive bonuses, yada, yada, yada. Okay, Earth. All right, so we have completed that colony ship, right? Because I bought it last turn. I rushed it. So now it's built, and it's launching, and it wants to know how many people to grab from Earth. So Earth had a population, I think, at 10 million right now, or 10 billion people. Well, I can load up to 3 billion of those people onto this colony ship for the new colony. I'm going to go ahead and max it out, because why not? Now, at this point, yeah, the raw research, I think, was it not? Last turn, was our raw research at 6.7? I think so. And I think, and again, the manual doesn't explain the mechanics exactly. So I'm waiting for the information to sort of come out as people play it more. Maybe someone in the chat can answer. I think the amount of your raw research is based on your population. Although it's got a side effect in that if you get overcrowded, your approval drops. So actually, as your population goes up, you often lose your raw bonus. So you have to offset it with make sure you have a lot of approval so you can have a big population with high approval equals lots of output. So our approval is a little bit higher here, and I don't know if that affects our base rate. So I'm not sure. We're gonna have to figure that out. So there's gonna be a few things that I don't have all the information yet, unfortunately. I'm gonna go ahead and rush build the next research laboratory as well. I'm probably gonna keep rush building all the buildings in this queue, one at a time here on Earth. All right. So we got another colony ship, so we really got to find somewhere we can colonize. What do we have here? We found planet Korolyov 4. It's class 16 paradise planet. Earth, note it, it's only a class 11. It's a lush planet. This is a class 16. In addition to that, it's serene, which has a 25% bonus to influence and a 25% bonus to morale. Oh, thank you. Yes, please. So I'm going to take this new colony ship here. I'm going to send it directly over there ASAP. I'm going to take this colony ship, and I'm going to move it down this way. You can see why I like zooming out, because you can tell right away where the good planets are. So this is a dead planet. Dead world, devoid of life, can't colonize there. Whereas if you're here, well, some of these are tiny, which makes it clear, but it's not always the case. This scout, I'm going to go ahead and just give it a command to auto-explore. And now, every time I hit end turn, they'll go and do that.